Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at an iceiceice Axe replay. He went 26-4 in this game, and Axe is also currently the highest win rate hero on Dota buff. I saw this and I'm like, wow, why is this the case? So I did a little bit of research, I looked into a couple of games, and I found this game where iceiceice popped off. And the big thing for me is the shard. iceiceice bought the shard relatively early into the game, even before a 4-staff or a BKB, items that I feel are pretty necessary on Axe that kite in and out of fights. He bought it even before those timings. If you don't know what Axe's shard does, it increases the chance of you spinning by 10% from 20 to 30, a 50% increase, and every single time you spin, the enemy's auto attack does 20% less damage. Meaning, if you spin on an enemy 5 times, they do 0 damage to Axe. They don't do 0 damage altogether. It's actually coded in quite an interesting way where they can still hit other heroes, but when it comes to hitting Axe, they don't do any damage. And players don't know what Axe Shard does right now. So what you're going to find in a lot of situations is you're going to go on a CK, you're going to quickly spin 5 times, or a Naga, you're going to spin 5 times, right? Even against something like a Sven or a Slark, you're going to spin 5 times. A lot of the time, even if it's 4 times, let's say, right? They're going to keep hitting you, they're not going to do any damage, and they're going to waste their entire team fight trying to kill you, and that's going to win you the game. We're going to see that a couple times throughout this match, some crazy turn potential with this shard that literally lets him kill a Slark that he never would be able to kill in the past, and let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, a couple things I do want to talk about when it comes to Axe. I love his draft around him. When it comes to Axe, you really want to have other damage dealers, as Axe can be a little bit underwhelming in the damage department until he gets his blade mail, or if he gets some giga call in a creep wave. So if you have to call someone outside of a creep wave and they're alone with no blade mail, you don't do much damage, especially to certain heroes. So Skywrath Axe is my favorite lane in Dota by far. I love this synergy. I think this is like one of the best combos in Dota. So absolutely, if you're gonna pick Axe, I recommend trying to ask your guy to pick Sky if he picks it. Other combos you can pick as well are Hoodwink. Hoodwink's probably the second best, I would say, as it's a low cooldown ability that can work with a low cooldown of Call. Now the laning stage, iceiceice goes a very greedy build. This is the meta now, to not buy tangos. It's kind of weird. You do have to ask your support to buy tangos, but here's one thing that iceiceice does. He instantly is gonna look to spin the wave. Basically, what you want to keep in mind is anytime you pull aggro as Axe, that's what's going to allow you to spin. So essentially, if you want to do more damage, you have to right-click on the enemy. So he right-clicks on Bane here, and this was an attempt to kill the range creep. I think he kind of realized that maybe this is a little bit risky halfway through, but as you can see, it actually decimates the Slark, completely dropping Slark to a ridiculously low amount of HP. And Slark is a hero that, you know, you feel like should trade pretty well here, right? So he has Essence Shift, right? But no, it just doesn't matter. The Slark gets decimated and actually straight up dies. So that play can be a little bit risky against certain heroes. Don't try to do that against something like a Drow. You're just going to get kited and tank a bunch of damage, but it can work in the right matchup, especially against a lot of melee heroes. After that, the next thing you want to do is identify if the lane is a little bit difficult. If it is, what you want to try to do is cut the wave and ignore the lane. If it's easy, you can actually skill Battle Hunger and run them down. For instance, Axe Medusa is a matchup that always kind of fascinates me, because with the correct Battle Hunger usage and timing on your initiation or your approach to Medusa, you can actually zone her out of the lane. But against something like a Bane Slark, even though he did mess up the Slark early on, he decides to cut the wave here and basically just zone out the Bane, giving himself some early levels. Now, basically, I'm not going to go over the laning stage too much. Essentially, what I recommend you guys do is learn how to be efficient with dragging the wave. As long as you do this, you're going to be able to get a 4 to 5 minute Vanguard every single game. As you'll see here, that's exactly what he got. He got I believe it was a 440 Vanguard. Pretty nuts timing. And yeah, you kind of just rinse repeat. You drag the creep wave from camp to camp, and all you have to consider is when the next creep wave is coming in. For instance, in this clip here, he was trying to clear up this camp, but instead of finishing off the wave, he instead needs to go meet with the next wave as it's coming in at 550, right? The waves always pass by at 50. So you got to look at the clock and say, okay, can I get here by 50? If you can, well, then you can get to the next wave, drag it over, and make sure you can continue to flash farm. And this is particularly good against heroes like Slark, because you don't man up to them one-on-one too well. At this point, he honestly maybe could with the Vanguard. Also, Slark isn't maxing Essence Shift, so he could. But the thing is, this is so efficient, because Slark can't kill multiple camps at a time. He just can't, right? And the Axe can. So if you look at the CS, it's just going to go slowly but surely into iceiceice's favor. One thing to keep in mind is that in certain matchups, especially heroes that you can naturally pressure, heroes like Wraith King and Spectre, when you do get your Vanguard, you don't have to cut a wave. This is the only caveat I'll give you. If you feel like the hero you're against is weak to your dive, all you need to do is dive with the wave. Let this wave shove in, take this wave, all right, go behind the tower, let this shove in, and then let the creeps follow you. You can never tank the tower and dive his Axe by simply letting the wave hit you and then following the carry around, right? And then when you get next to them, you call them Battle Hunger and so on, and that is the way to optimize your dive. All right, let's get in towards the mid game. Even though it's barely the mid game, he has Blink and Vanguard, getting it at the 10-minute mark here. He even has Soul Ring and Boots. He is loaded. Let's look at the net worth here. He is loaded. He is 700 above the second highest net worth. Pretty freaking insane. But this is what you want to do on Axe, because this is the main advantage of your hero. The next thing you have to do is identify who you can kill and who you need to kill them. This is why it is really important that, number one, you tell your supports to take the tome, or support players, if you're watching this, buy the tome. The Skywrath instantly bought it at minute 10. This allows them to be fast. This is how you know it's a high MMR game. They know what their job is, they know what they need to do, and as a result, the Skywrath picks up the tome, getting his level 6. This is obviously the combo. You call, you Sky ulti, you kill them, and that's what they do here. They decide to not go for the DK kill. I think he understood that Slark is a higher priority kill, as Slark was free farming throughout the lane generally, and eventually they do end up picking up the kill. Beautifully done, a clean smoke gank on the blink timing. Slark and most carry players are never going to expect these blink timings, and you just got to be able to synergize with your +1 hero and know who you can kill. Now, you might be thinking, Speed, what if I don't have teammates, and what if I don't have a good +1 hero? Well, then you should focus on shoving in your lane and continuing to hit timings. I know it might sound a little bit insane to just say, get Blink Dagger and continue farming, and I don't think this is the best play in a large percentage of games. Usually you'll have some way or another to get kills, but the problem for a lot of players is they'll just run around and try to kill heroes like Death Prophet alone. And you know what happens when you try to kill a Death Prophet alone as Axe? You die. For instance, I want you guys to see the prowess of iceiceice here. Basically, he waits till the perfect time to call. Most players would call way too early. Your call has to be followed up. The only time a call doesn't have to be followed up is when you have like a 3-man call plus a wave plus Blade Mail. All right, then, go YOLO, bro, Go YOLO, all right, go in. But here, he kind of baits the DK to step up. He baits them to step up. They do this Wild Wing pushback, which was a nuts play. It was really beautiful. This Wild Wing pushback, but it's followed up by the TA. On top of that, he understands that his job is not, and I repeat, not to do counter helix damage here. Right? It is instead to disengage. The only reason why is he can die really easily to DP, okay? The enemy team has a few heroes that can kill him in the early game, DP being the major one, so he has to be a little bit careful. Otherwise, if they can't kill you on your Vanguard timing, okay, go crazy, try to spin, and so on. That's up to you to determine whether or not the matchup's threaten you, but eventually he's going to re-engage as his whole team comes. Unfortunately messes up the dunk, but it was a great fight nonetheless. Why? Because he dragged the enemy team into him. He dragged the enemy team towards his team. That's a great advantage of call. When you call them, you can make them follow you, and a lot of players don't take advantage of that, especially when they don't have Blade Mail. You should be taking advantage of that. After that, in between fights, iceiceice has no problem farming. After that mid-engagement, he ran top, shoved the dead lane, cleared a couple of, neutral camps, and went from there, even calling the neutral camps to guarantee a few more spins onto both of the camps. And I just want you guys really to see this, because a lot of players kind of get blink and then run around. It's great to get your blink, get a kill, but then after that, feel free to go back to farming, give the enemy team a little bit of sense of security, a false sense of security, and then go back to ganking. As we'll see here, Skywrath ulti comes back up, they kill the DK, beautifully done, farming, fighting, generally gonna rinse repeat. Now here they actually do go for an instant smoke gang, so consistently switching up the pace. Really cool play. I think they catch the Bane here, they do, and they pick up another kill. So very fast-paced gameplay, but even here, like, I love, this is something, I'm gonna move on to the shard after this, but this is something that like is always great to me and a sign of a really good player. I mean, it's iceiceice, so it's no surprise, but he kills this Bane, and look what he does. Look how his brain works. He kills Bane, he's like, where's the nearest creep camp, right? He's like, where's the nearest creep camp? Because why? There's no one on the map, no one's showing, Skywrath ulti's down. Yeah, they could keep running at the enemy, and sometimes that is the right play to continue putting pressure, but the average player just, once again, doesn't have really much of a priority on creeps, especially as an offlaner, and then they just are underfarmed and like fall off. All right, now I got something really cool to show you guys. I didn't even know this was a thing, but this is fascinating. It makes sense why Axe could potentially have a high win rate. You can basically solo Roche. Now, it will be slow if you try to solo Roche, but the thing is, the shard works on Roche. So I mentioned it earlier, I'll mention it again. If you don't know what the shard does, it increases the spin chance, and when the enemy hits you, if you spin on them, they do 20% less damage to Axe. It's just 20% straight up. And as a result, when you get 5 spins, they literally do 0 damage. So against Roche here, he spins a couple times. The Roche is now doing 60% less damage to Axe. And you'll see these auto attacks from Roshan are tickling him. So much so to the point where eventually he gets the 5 spins, and look at the Roche autos. 0 damage. 0. Like not 1, not 2, 0 damage. So upcoming here, we're gonna really see the shard come into play. This was a really cool clip to me. Iceiceice and his team was disengaging. They had a very poor fight. The TA died, the Ember died. It was looking quite disastrous. However, you can see he's posturing to go back in here. On top of that, he went bots Kaya. I will say that I think this is like generally trash. He was kind of going like a, I'm owning. I'm gonna keep owning them and getting solo kills in side lanes, which is pretty reasonable. But as we'll see here, you might be like wondering why he doesn't call here. It's primarily because he wants to make sure the Sky can help him, right? If he goes now, it's going to be very hard for Sky to actually do anything. I think Sky didn't even want to take this fight, but iceiceice, being the psycho that he is, decides that, you know what, I am going to go in. The DK separates a little bit from the Bane to the point where, you know, he can get off a good amount of damage before Bane gets any spells off. And yeah, that's kind of what happens. Now, this looks horrible. I remember watching the replay just before, and I was like, oh, he's dead. Like, that was shit. He's dead. And he does die, but look what happens. He goes in, and I was like, why is he manning up? I'm like, why is he manning up? But iceiceice knew better than me. He understands the potential of the shard. He starts spinning here, and the Slark starts to do limited damage. Now, Slark can purge it, so there's like something to say that Slark is kind of good against Axe in that way. But as you see here, he just starts to take very limited damage from Slark and the DK, and he kills them. Obviously, if he wasn't reducing damage, he wouldn't have lived with 86 HP and ended up killing the Slark. And almost the DK, unfortunately, doesn't kill the DK. That kind of sucks. And I will even say that this is like a pretty meh Axe game. The only good thing he has going for him is the fact that he's, you know, against a Slark, and like taunting Slark is good because you can't purge it. Other than that, this is a horrible Axe game, and yet he's giga snowballing. You can imagine the potential of this shard. The reason why I'm saying it is you can imagine the potential of this shard in a game where they have, as I kind of mentioned, heroes like CK and Naga, heroes that don't have low cooldown purges and are more likely to make you spin a lot. I mean, you're just going to decimate them. Think about something like a Wraith King. If you call that guy in a bunch of skeletons, you're just going to shred him, right? And he's not going to be able to do anything to you. Still, though, I do want you guys to see the general gist of this hero. At the end of the day, even though, you know, you might feel giga strong on this shard timing, don't engage into the magic damage heroes. You still need to kite out, especially if you're going to go something as greedy as this. In general, do not go this Kaya. Just buy a BKB. Like, please. You see he has it queued up. So many axes. Buy, like, heart. Stop buying heart on axe. It's bad. It's literally so awful. Like, it doesn't let you go in and out, and you just die to the heroes that counter you anyway. It's like, you buy this heart, great, you don't die to right clickers, but you're still gonna die to every percentage-based magical damage nuke spam hero, such as the Necros and the Venos and the DPs. Anyway, and so, God, every time I see heart on axe, it's just a little bit of something dies inside of me. All right, next up, let's talk about basically the talents. And another thing to note is that Culling Blade gives armor now. It's kind of something I forgot to mention earlier, but like, it's not really important. Honestly, it's a bit cheesy, but I will say that the fact that you get armor from it does mean that when you have a good game, you're gonna have a lot of armor, and it basically guarantees that you take no physical damage. Like, Axe is like the biggest counter to single target physical, or not even single target, just physical damage if he's able to spin on people, because at this point in the game, he is, with like limited armor items, he literally only has a blade mail as his armor item, has 34 armor, which is pretty good because he's harvested, which is a weird word, but he's harvested 20 armor from Coaling Blade. It's pretty good. And we'll kind of see it come into play in this small clip here, the armor really just paying off. As he blinks in, he goes in, and honestly, Axe usually dies after his initiation. It's kind of a big problem for the hero, but Slark goes on him and just takes no damage. Like, he just literally took no damage. That Slark hit him a couple times, and it was pathetic. But alright, let's get into the talents. At level 10, he took movement speed. The mana regen's tempting, but he went soaring to kind of deal with the mana problems. I think movement speed on a hero like Axe is just such a fantastic level 10 talent, so there's that. He takes counter helix damage at level 15, not too surprising there. At level 20, the Coaling Blade damage is just better. The bonus armor per Coaling Blade stack is kind of just overkill. The reality is you don't need like 40 or 50 armor. Once you get to like 25, 30, it kind of tapers off from there, so yeah, you don't really need more. And at level 25, absolutely just take the Berserker's Call AoE when you're going a Blink Call focused build. And you know what, I will end the video saying here that I actually like this iceiceice pickup. If you are going to be snowballing his Axe and you're having a good game, frankly your hero has mana problems, especially when you're against something like Slark that's actually stealing your mana pool. But you're going to have a lot of mana problems on this hero, and the status resistance strength is actually fantastic, so I like this build up from iceiceice. I think BKB is necessary. Please don't see iceiceice as a BKB replacement. That is not what I'm saying at all. It's not. Please, almost every game by BKB. I know what, I don't even know why I'm saying almost. Every game by BKB, alright? Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.